So next step on forming up this cabinet is to, I cut these pieces a little more to shape and tacked them in with some old 1 5/8 inch drywall screws. And that will hold the shape well enough that I can lift the whole assembly out, flip it upside down, put it on the table, and start glassing the underside a little bit. Mainly just to lock everything in shape. So you want to keep these, keep these angles as close as you can. And once it's locked in place, then I'll go through and sand these flat, round these over, all this. And then we'll make up some glass panels like I did to make the coaming that I cut off. And tack those in place, wrap them around the inside and outside corners. There. But these are coming out nice, making nice big storage boxes we're gonna have. And like I mentioned, I got 2 more hatches sitting there that I'd built a while back that are gonna go there. So we'll have 3 nice hatches. That should be good. Got the deck out of the boat, set onto the bench here. Had to move the roll of chop string out of the way to make a little extra room. But took some silica, a little resin, mixed up very loose putty. It's kind of like a syrup, not very, not too much silica in there because I want it to be able to creep down in these cracks, but not, I don't think you can see it, but I mean, you can still see a little daylight under there, and I don't want it to just pour all over the work table. So plan now, unscrew these, put a little in there, just kind of paint it in there with a brush and let it fill up these gaps just enough to lock these in place so I can pull the screws out and then finish glassing it up. All right, that should do. Just got enough down in there to lock everything in place. I unscrewed these, the flat ones, brushed it all in there. So now it's just a little bit of cleaning up, getting the big goops off. Same thing with these. Unscrewed those, smashed them in there, and screwed it back till it kicks. This one needs a little cleanup too. Go right along it, just push all the excess right down in there, and just thick enough to move it around, but it's not gooping out everywhere on the bottom, so that's what we want. So we're working on the rear deck a little bit this morning. Got the bottom side is totally glass. Let me show you that real quick. 2 layers, 1708 all around there. Trim sanded. Good there. Starting on the top side, got the hatches bonded in. And this is how we're making these crazy radiuses. Took a piece of the tabbing glass laying over there, about 6-7 feet long, just rolled it out straight on the melamine. You can actually see where it was, and just wet it out, let it sit there until it got green, where it was still wet, but you could bend it and move it real easy. It was still very sticky. And just cut it in the strips with the razor knife and use some drywall screws to just tack it on place here, and it makes these, conforms to these bends really nice. Really ugly right now, trust me, I've done this before. Once it's all hardened up and cured good, then we'll cut it flat across the top and bottom, sand all the, there's going to be a lot of stuff to sand off, but this is the main part that we're worried about, are these bends. Once it's holding the shape and it makes a little dam there, we'll put about 4 or 5 more layers of glass over top to build the support, and then finish glassing the rest of the whole thing in. And actually added a couple little 1 3/4 inch strips on each side, because this part here where we cut this out is narrower than up here because of the way the boat tilts out. So just a quick check in on that. walking away from this for a couple hours and let it harden up, and then we'll come back this afternoon and do a little more trimming on it. All right, so this is how the sausage is made. If anybody really cares, it's not glamorous. But well, this piece actually got cut a little short, so I just popped it off real quick. This Divinysaw has pretty good adhesion. It was ripping the glass trying to pull it off that foam, so that's part of the reason why I like it so much. But anyway, it's gonna re-tack that up. Formed up these corners a little straighter, using these foam blocks to kind of push everything in a nicer radius, because the loose glass can kind of go where it wants. But once everything's cut and trim and put together correctly, and a bunch of glass and fairing compounds added to it, you'll this ugliness will be a distant memory. Okay, got the last panel, the floor, pulled out of the boat. We are going to make a scupper recess. Basically what we're doing is when we run the scuppers through those holes and they end up sitting here, I want the water to drain down into a little recess so they will all evacuate out. The pipe is going to end up just like this. Add some putty and some whatever, make it all kind of pretty, glass it in. So the very high-tech method that we are using is tape measure, marking 1.5 inches in, and a very sophisticated leveling device known as a box. Got my bit here, and I'm basically lining that up to start at that 1.5 inches, and this is what is keeping my angle. So laugh if you want, but it works pretty damn well over on that side. So let's go ahead and cut this side too. I got a 2.5 inch hole saw here. I'm just going to not put a lot of pressure on it so it doesn't try to climb, and just see what we can do. Well, that came out about as good as I could have hoped. Right between the lines, angle went right down to the bottom glass. And now, this pipe sits in here. It should be just right. Now from the inside of the boat, set the rear deck cap back on, and we just need to drill. You can see the pipe sitting in there. We drill the top piece. Oops, sorry. Drill that out, and that's only going to be probably about 1/3. So switched bits back to the 2-inch, which matches the pipe diameter, and I'm going to prop this up a little and cut that last little bit out and see how it fits. Okay, propped up with another handy dandy specially designed tool. And let's see if we can't get this just as clean as the last one. Oh, hold on. It's slipping. We don't want that. The whole back end is rattling forward like that. There we go. God, this bit is getting dull. But I think, pop this off, it fits in there pretty well. So once I get this all glassed down the rest of the way, shave that off with the sander. And we got just enough of a little divot in the floor for the last little trickles of water to get out. Boom, there, and got one little nick there where it tried to jump. But overall, this fit in there pretty well. And I wasn't looking to dish out the whole back of the floor. I just wanted just enough to keep these off the ground a little, because if not, you'll get, an 1/8 inch of water will pool up right along the back. So I think once I get this glass down, finished, it's still looking very rough, but it'll get shaped up and finished the rest of the way soon. But that was one of the last things I needed to check off my list before I can start gluing this all down. But went ahead and got the scupper tubes glassed down to the stringer. This came out pretty nice. Trimmed a little of the pipe off, but left it out there a little bit. Just took a little bit of chop strand, fed it down in these little drains, and couple layers of tapping glass over there just to hold it in place. Now, start gluing the floor down. Did go ahead this morning, lifted these panels up and just put a little bit of, I got some FGCI bonding putty. So piped some of that into a little baggie and ran it down the stringer tops, and then on the little bulkheads where it crosses, and set these down. Very strong feeling. I was gonna film it, but it's literally like me lifting a panel and propping it up with a box and crawling under it. It's not the most artistic thing. Nobody wants to see that. So we are feeling much stronger now. I can walk around on this. It was having little creaks and cracks, where the panels are kind of wiggling a little bit, rubbing against each other. So next, using a couple blocks here just to push a couple of the little seams down. These panels are pretty flat. As you see, there's just tiny little things, so you can just kind of push them down into place. So I'm gonna get another piping bag and fill these seams up with some putty, get everything locked in place, fill these gaps up, and then I will break out the grinder again, clean up the edges and the seams, and use the tabbing glass to get everything locked in for good. Okay, little piping bag, putty in there. It's a little messy, but it works. Squeezing it down, in you go. Okay, looking good. Not all the way full on some of these, but that's okay. Just gonna get the material in there and let it lock these panels in place, and I can come over it in an hour or two with another coat to fill it all the way up and make a little fillet to start doing glass. Plus it's all getting sanded before I lay the glass down anyway, so if it's extra, it's just gonna get cut off. So anyways, couple bricks, hold down these little seams, and I mean these were like 1/8 of an inch off, so it's not like they were bad. Making that floor mold really helped to keep these panels flat, and ran out of bricks, so had to improvise a little bit, but push that corner down. This side I did just a little bit ago. It's tacking up, and this floor already feels rock solid, so happy there. and check back in when this is dry. Okay, fans are on. Grinder's ready. Got a 40 grit flat disc on here. I'm going to run down these seams, get this ready for glass. And the only way to grind stuff is with a bunch of big fans. All right, seams are all done, looking good. Little wipe down with some acetone and start rolling out the tabbing glass. Glad I bought another roll of this stuff last time I was at the Marine Trading Post, because I got that much left. Also, you may have noticed I have not done anything on the front deck. I did grind it, get it ready, but I'm waiting for a new bow eye. The plate's right underneath that, and I have access to it from there, but I don't want to climb in there and have to bolt it down and glue it in and 5200 it in. So I put one in. It stuck out about that far because I put that big block of Cusa back there and about 8 sheets of glass. So it was a little too thick. So I ordered a longer one. It'll be here tomorrow. Get that installed. I'll do the same process on that front casting deck. And then I can start focusing on the rest of the rear deck, which is laying over there out of the way. All right, went ahead and rolled all this glass out. Didn't film it because obviously you guys all seen me wet out glass 100 times now. So same as I normally do, I like to flip this 1708 over, wet out the bottom first, and then flip it back on and give it a little rolly roll, get it flat and get it even, and babysit this for 5 or 10 more minutes and call it a night. We're back on the rear deck today. So far, all I've done is just set it down and added some putty, so it's just in place. Haven't done all the glassing down and everything, but I did just lifted it up, ran a bead of putty along the top of the transom and in the back here, set it down. With some Cusa shims up in that little gap there, just the way the deck was flat, but the transom kind of curved, you know, out just because of the angle here. So had some shims of that 26-pound Cusa that I shimmed up in there with some structural putty. This part, I know some of you have asked what I did to fill this void. This is just high density foam. I think it's like an 8-pound foam. I looked at like an RJ or, you know, an equivalent, and I think I needed about 4 or 5 gallons worth. It would have cost me $1,000 in product almost. So I'm actually really happy with that high density foam. I put it in there, it expanded, and it is, I mean, it's rock solid. I don't know if you guys have ever messed with this stuff, but you literally cannot dent it barely with your finger. It is really hard. So with all the glass and all the Cusa, I don't think that should be an issue. Totally capped up. There's no way water's getting in there. So not worried about that. So also went across the back here, flattened all this out with the grinder, and then put a nice little bevel on to that so I can wrap this, rounded this foam off here. Should wrap, probably put 6-7 layers of glass there to tie it in, and then a couple around the top to finish that off. This already feels super solid, just being puttied on. And then we'll get to, cleaning up the rest of it. It's, rough still, but I think the look of it, I'm pleased with. Have a jack plate on here and still give the motor room to tilt up when it's, pushed off a little bit. Leave some of these, classic looks of this boat, but be real functional when you're, put a little, I'll probably have to get a custom swim ladder here on the side, but be able to step right in. Literally I can just come and sit on it here. So if I'm at the sandbar or something, it should be really easy to get back in the boat. And floor's been tabbed down, as you saw. And that little corner there didn't quite shape out like I wanted. It had tucked in a little bit, so reshaped that a little bit. But anyways, I'm jabbering now. Let's get the glass in this thing now. Glass is cut. Got a little bit for the side, back. One layer to start wrapping. A couple of scrap pieces in some of those deeper pockets. And 6 layers, 1708 tabbing that I want to put along here. So I'm going to start there. Smallest to largest, they overlap just a little so that it should spread out nicely. And then wrap it all with that. And then that's going to be hot by the time that's all done. So I'm going to let that cool off. Then I'll come back and keep working on the top, jump in the boat, and work on the inside stuff. Okay, happy with this. Started getting warm at the end, but everything's nice and clear. So that's good. No real issues on anything. One little bubble trying to do this thing right there, but no big deal. So let this kick, cool off. It's been quite breezy today out of the south, so it's warm. It should kick very fast. Looking mid 80s in the shop right now. So I'm gonna just go give this a little time to do its thing, and it should be pretty damn solid. Let me show y'all something. That's called too much catalyst. Yeah, it's literally boiling. So, check your ratios. It's a lot warmer today than it was the last week or two, but got the front all glued down, mixed up a slurry with some milled fibers I had and some silica, and that all bonded. So once that is at least, I'm gonna let that cool off a bit. Cut some glass, tab around there, and then start, kind of cleaning all this up and making it look pretty. So rear deck, taking a break because the bow eye arrived. I went ahead and installed that so that I can bond down the front deck. And yeah, you can see how much easier the access is when that's not in the way. I can literally do it right there versus going into that hatch and reaching up into that hole. So still will be able to access it once the deck is on for, worst case scenario, but much easier to do it now. Got all the tabbing to lock the front side of the rear deck down. I'm not gonna bother filming this. You guys have seen me roll out tabbing glass, but got this hatch fully bonded in and all these seams. And that should be ready for well, fairing. I gotta do this part and stuff, but yeah, getting closer. Okay, glass is on. I think that's gonna be a wrap for the rear deck, structurally at least. We have some, you know, fairing work a lot to do. Put a couple more little pieces of glass in a couple spots, but yeah, I think it's gonna work out well. These nice storage boxes. Let's see if I can step up here without, I mean, these things are pretty freaking big. 2 of those, you know, be able to put speakers or whatever on these, have perfect access to them. I'm gonna put a hatch, you know, a little fold down plastic hatch probably in there for access to the rigging and the pumps. Nice bilge access. And, you know, floor's down, front deck is sitting there. Still gonna bond that in, same process as the rear, so not gonna drag this video on for another, you know, 20 minutes of just puttying and tabbing that in. It's the same thing. So starting to look like a boat. We're getting there. Let me go ahead and hop out real quick. Yeah, it's starting to look like a boat. I'm looking forward to finishing the gunnels next. All this cap work I gotta kind of reform, so that's next up on the list. And then we can start doing the pretty work. I guess structurally we're getting close. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap this one up for tonight. Me and Mr. Rems here. Call it an evening. We got the shop doors closed up. Getting there, man, getting there. I'm thankful for you guys watching this and getting this far. I know I say it every time, but I mean it. It's kind of a fun adventure. And, so I'm gonna go. Take care, guys. Bye.